Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Hero Point Deck. This is one of the latest accessories to come out for the Pathfinder 2nd Edition role-playing game and is put out by Paizo Publishing. The Paizo actually did send this to me for the purposes of doing this video, so I do want to thank them for that. This is an accessory that I was really looking forward to, so I can't wait to dive into it here. However, they are not influencing the review, they're not scripting it, they're not pre-screening it or anything like that before it goes out. So the opinions that I express in this video are 100% completely and totally my own. But as I said, this was an accessory that I was really looking forward to because, confession time, I am really bad about remembering to use hero points in my Pathfinder 2nd Edition games. Even other RPGs that have similar mechanics, it's something that I often just completely forget about. So having this accessory, having this deck of cards, I think is something that will help me remember not only to use it, but will also give me an idea of some of the really cool things that you can do with your hero points. So we'll take a look at the packaging, then we'll take a look at the cards and see what we've got here. First of all, I actually, really like the color of the package, like the design of it. The orange sort of glowing design looks really, really cool. The retail price for this is $14.99 US. And on the back, it reads, more than a reroll. A well-timed hero point can turn the tide of battle, but with Pathfinder Hero Point Deck, you can do more than just reroll a single check. Each of these 52 cards lists a special effect that grants a boon, such as a sudden surge of speed or the ability to stave off death. Use this card as traditional hero point or turn it into a special effect. So again, really, really cool stuff there. I already took the cards out of the package, but I didn't actually remove the cellophane or anything yet, so we're going to go through it here together. So we'll just get that off of there. So the first thing we have is just an advertisement for their spell cards, which if you haven't seen my review videos on some of the spell card sets, these things are really, really great. A fantastic accessory as well, definitely worth checking out. And then on the other side, we just have the critical hit deck. We've got our D20 license information. And then we have a card for optional rules. So we'll just set this down here. All right, so the optional rule says your group can use the hero point cards in your game in a number of ways. Discuss the following optional rules as a group before implementing them at the table. So the cards are revealed to the table as soon as they are drawn, and the players can trade them, so they can actually hold them like an actual, just extra abilities or card stuff. That's kind of neat. Instead of drawing out cards or dealing out cards to each player, turn 3 cards face up at the start of the session and place them at the center of the table. All players can use these cards by spending their hero points, discard the cards as they are used, and draw a replacement to ensure that 3 cards are always available. So again, that's kind of neat. Players can keep 1 hero point card at the end of each session, but it counts as one of their cards at the start of the next game. Turn over the top card of the deck so that the players can see what they might earn by performing heroic deeds. And then on the back just goes into the rules. So it says at the start of each session, shuffle this deck of cards and place it where everyone can reach it. Whenever the GM would give a hero point, including the one granted at the start of each session, draw a card from the deck instead. Don't reveal the card to the other players until you play it. Each card tells you when you can use it and what effect it has. So basically, you can use this sort of to replace just the standard, like I said, the standard reroll. So that's the basic rule, and then we got the optional ones on the back here. So it's a kind of a cool system, a cool mechanic, and I would totally allow the players to trade the cards amongst each other. I think that would be kind of a fair way of doing it. But again, really, really cool concepts. Let's see what we got here for the cards. All right, so the first one we have is Critical Moment. Play this after rolling a check. Reroll the check twice and take the best result. This is a fortune effect. If you still fail this check, you become doomed 1. So a little bit of a gamble there, I guess. But that's kind of neat. So the doomed condition, basically, it's a number that you would add to your wounded or dying number. which increases the odds that, you're going to die a lot quicker. So if you were already wounded 1 and you had the doomed 1 as well, you would add those together, and the next time you get knocked down in combat, you would be dying 1, which would be added to the wounded 1 and the doomed 1, which means you'd be at essentially dying 3, and it's bad, right? It's definitely a bad thing. That's just an example, obviously, with the numbers, so don't take that as the way that it always would be. But it's still, again, kind of interesting because you do have the potential, because you get to reroll twice instead of just rerolling an additional time, so that's kind of neat. But there is definitely potential for something to go bad, so that's, again, pretty cool. Hold the line, so you play during your turn. Until the start of your next turn, each time an enemy would leave a space adjacent to you while using the move action, it must succeed in acrobatics or athletics checks against your fortitude DC, or the move action is disrupted. So that's actually kind of neat. You can stop the enemy from moving. So again, that's kind of cool. And okay, I'll get to the review portion, I guess, at the end here, but we'll just sort of go through the cards here. Called Foe. Designate a foe that you can see. You gain a +2 status bonus on attack rolls made against that foe, but you take a -4 to attack rolls made against any other creature. This lasts until the end of your next turn, or until you critically hit the designated foe, whichever comes first. So, yeah, it's kind of neat. Has a little quote at the bottom there, such as "I'm coming for you." Roll back. Play after the attack or effect causes you to become grabbed or knocks you prone. You roll backward from the attack, landing on your feet. Take a step away from the source of the attack, if any, and you're no longer prone or grabbed. So, again, some cool stuff there. Rending Swipe. Play after making 2 successful consecutive melee strikes against the same target with 2 different weapons. The target takes 1d6 persistent bleed damage and a sickened 1 until the bleeding stops. If you are 7th level or higher, increase the bleed to 2d6. And if you're 12th level or higher, increase to 3d6. So, again, cool stuff there. Impossible Shot. Play when making a ranged attack, either with a strike or a spell. It says if you're attempting a strike, double the range increment of your weapon or unarmed attack. If you're casting a spell, increase the range of the spell by half. So, again, cool. It lets you attack something from further away without the penalties or as bad penalties. Distract Foe. Play this with foe within 30 feet. Makes a melee attack against another creature. That foe is fascinated with you, and it can't end this condition until it takes a hostile action against you or the combat ends. Surge of Magic. Play during your turn. Until the end of your turn, you can activate 1 magic item that you have already activated once today. This activation doesn't count against the item's frequency limit if the limit is once per day or a shorter increment of time. If the item is a wand, activating it this way does not overcharge it. Catch Your Breath. Play at the end of your turn. Select yourself or an ally within 30 feet. The creature you choose must have fewer than half their total hit points. This creature gains a number of temporary hit points equal to twice your level, which lasts until the end of combat. Desperate Swing. Play during your turn. Make a strike, ignoring multiple attack penalties. So that's actually really cool. If you roll a critical success, you get a normal success instead. So it's a trade-off. If you make that as an attack after making multiple attacks, you ignore the penalty that you've already incurred and can make it at your normal attack bonus. But the issue is that you can't gain a critical hit. That's still fine. If the attack fails, you release your weapon or drop prone if you were using an unarmed strike. So again, a little bit of a trade-off there. There's potential for some bad stuff to happen, but it's still something that could be played in a very, well, it says Desperate Swing, right? So that kind of tells you when you probably want to use that. Daring Attempt. Play at the start of your turn. Select 1 untrained skill. You are trained in that skill until the end of your next turn. If you use that skill before the end of your next turn and succeed on your skill check, you keep this benefit until the end of combat or for one minute if not in combat. So that could also get you out of a bad situation as well, potentially. Battle Cry. Play after making a successful melee attack. You unleash a terrifying battle cry. Attempt an intimidation check. to demoralize and compare the result against all enemies within 30 feet. So that's pretty neat. Demoralizing, I think, just gives them negatives to attacks, like attacks, saving throws, and like skill checks and all that stuff. And to do it against everyone within 30 feet is pretty useful. Class Might. Until the start of your next turn, you gain a +2 status bonus that checks based on the key ability score of your class. If your class grants choice of its key ability, select one of those ability scores to gain the bonus. So that's actually kind of cool because it doesn't have to be the one that you selected when you created the character. So again, cool stuff there. Ancestral Might. Until the start of your next turn, you gain a +2 status bonus to checks based on the ability scores that are boosted by your ancestry, ignoring the free boost. If your ancestry only grants free boost, select one ability score to gain the bonus instead. Cut Through the Fog. Play before you attempt a will save. You succeed at the saving throw without needing to roll. You gain the Stupefied 1 condition, which lasts until the next time you get a night's rest. So again, a little bit of a drawback there, but at the same time, it eliminates the chance of you failing. So it's something that, you know, you have to obviously weigh the risk versus reward, but something, again, that could be very crucial. Dive Out of Danger. Play before you attempt a reflex save. You succeed at the saving throw without needing to roll. You gain the Clumsy 1 condition until the next time you get a full night's rest. So again, that's just basically the reflex version of that. I assume the next one's going to be the Fortitude version. Push through the pain. You succeed. Play before you attempt a Fortitude save. You succeed at the saving throw without needing to roll, and you gain the Drained 1 condition. So again, they give you sort of a drawback to doing it, but the ability to automatically pass without having to worry about the roll, that could obviously, like, again, be a huge thing, especially if it's one of your weak saves. Shake It Off. Play at any time. All persistent damage affecting you immediately comes to an end. That one I actually really like because persistent damage can be difficult to get rid of, since it involves a flat roll to see if you succeed or not. And that means it's basically just the number on the die, no modifications, and sometimes the DC can be kind of high for those. So that could definitely be a very useful card. I hope this works. I love some of the stuff here. So play at the start of your turn. Once during your turn, you can activate an item to cast a spell, even if you can't normally cast spells or don't have that spell on your spell list. After casting the spell, your turn ends. So you have to do that at the start of the turn. Basically, you lose some of your actions, but again, kind of a neat thing to have. Spark of Courage. Play whenever you have the Fright condition. You lose that condition and instead gain a +2 status bonus on attack rolls and skill checks until the end of your next turn. Last Stand. Play when you take damage. Until the start of your next turn, any damage that would reduce you to 0 hit points leaves you at 1 hit point remaining and gives you the Doomed 1 condition, or increases your doomed value by 1 if you're already doomed. As usual, you die when your doomed condition equals your the dying value that would kill you, so usually doomed 4. So again, that could be bad. But it can also, like I said, save your life until someone can get over and heal you. So, Flash of Insight. Play at the start of your turn. Until the end of your turn, you gain automatic knowledge, so it's described in the core rulebook on page 258. For any one skill. If you already have automatic knowledge, when you use that feat to attempt to recall knowledge check this turn, use an outcome 1 degree of success better than the result of your roll. If you use this to learn about a creature, you gain twice the number of clues about their abilities. Make Way. Play at the start of a stride. During the stride, you must move in a straight line, but you can attempt to shove any creature in your way, moving it to an adjacent space out of the way of your movement. Your multiple attack penalty doesn't apply to any of these free shove attempts, nor do they increase your multiplier attack penalty. If you fail to shove a creature out of your way, your movement ends. Tumble Past. Play after you end your movement adjacent to a creature that is larger than you. Move to the opposite side of that creature. This movement does not trigger any reactions based on movement, so no potential attacks of opportunity for creatures that have them, and you can actually move into an advantageous position. So that's, again, pretty neat. Magical Reverberation. Play this after casting a spell. The spell's power reverberates in your mind. You can cast the spell one additional time without having it prepared or expending a spell slot. If you don't cast the spell by the end of your next turn, it is lost. After casting the spell again, you become stupefied 2 for 1 minute. So again, sort of a risk-reward thing, but can definitely help out in a pinch. Aura of Protection. Play after casting a spell from your spell slots. You surround yourself with an aura of residual magical power. Until the start of your next turn, you gain resistance to all damage equal to the level of the spell that you just cast. So you can resist, like if you cast a 3rd level spell, you can resist 3 for all types of damage. So cool stuff there. Run and Shoot. Play when you take your stride action. You make a ranged attack at any point during this movement. So again, that's really cool because it's something that it's part of just the one stride action. It's not part of, like, it's not striding and then shooting. It's all being done at the same time. So it's kind of like getting an extra action, but it doesn't say anything about it not counting towards multiple attack. So just keep that in mind, but it's still, I still like that one quite a bit. Hasty Block. Play when you are hit by a physical attack and you have a shield within reach and a free hand. You interact to draw and wield the shield and then use it to shield block against the attack. After the attack and block are resolved, the shield is torn from your grip and lands in an adjacent space. So that's something where, again, you may have the shield on you, you're just not wielding it, or, as a GM, you may want a situation where maybe they're fighting and there's some dead enemies around that had a shield, so you could pick up one of theirs and use it for that ability. So cool stuff there. Rage and Fury. Play when an ally is knocked unconscious or when you take damage from a critical hit. At the start of your next turn, you enter a rage, so +2 damage to melee strikes, -1 penalty to armor class, no concentrate action. So basically, you get to go into the rage. At the end of that turn, if you don't have the rage class feature, the rage ends and you are fatigued. Rampage. Play at the start of your turn. Make a strike against each foe within reach. The multiple attack penalty applies as normal. At the end of these attacks, your turn ends and you are fatigued. So a great situation if you are being swarmed or have multiple enemies on you. It does, you do get the multiple attack penalty. So the first one's normal. The second attack you would make against the second enemy would be at -5, and then any other attack after that would be -10. But if you're surrounded by 8 enemies, then you can attack each of them, and the most penalty you take is the -10. So at high levels in particular, I think that would be a really useful one to have there. The Last Ounce of Strength. Play at the start of your turn when you are dying. You regain consciousness and can act normally on your turn, but you can't regain hit points or remove the dying condition during this turn. At the end of your turn, you fall unconscious and your dying condition increases by 1. Do not attempt a recovery check this turn. So you get one sort of free last sort of surge of energy. The downside is that you cannot be healed by any means on that same round, and you automatically increase your dying value. So again, risk reward, but still something that could actually play a key role in a very pivotal moment. So awesome stuff. Misdirected Attack. Play after a foe critically fails on a melee strike against you. The foe rerolls the attack, targeting one of its allies within reach. So this card I like because it's something that I find players always push for when they're being attacked by multiple enemies and one of them critically fails. Like, they always want you to see if it hits their ally. So now, with this card, they can actually, force the issue. So I like that. Tuck and Roll. Play after a creature or hazard strikes or hits you with a strike. You take the minimum amount of damage and fall prone. Opportune Distraction. Play at the start of your turn. Until the end of your turn, you gain the benefits of the greater cover after taking the hide or sneak action, allowing you to hide or sneak in the open. This effect ends if you do anything other than hide, sneak, or step, so more utilitarian, but again, something that could be useful. Channel Life Force. Play on your turn after you spend all of your focus points. Gain 1 focus point. That point must be spent by the end of your turn or it's lost. If you use this focus point, you become drained 1. So I like the ability, I like that again because it's sort of taking your own reserves of like physical health and can fuel an ability, which again could be very useful in the right situation. Fluid motion, play at the start of your turn. For the rest of your turn, you gain a climb speed and a swim speed equal to half your normal speed. If you make a horizontal leap, increase the distance jumped by 10 feet. Reckless Charge, I like the sounds of this one already. Play after taking 2 consecutive stride actions, make a melee strike. You are flat-footed until the end of your next turn. Shoot Through. Play when you are about to make an attack roll for a ranged strike. If the path of your strike goes through another creature's space before reaching the target is flat-footed against the attack, and the other creature doesn't provide cover. So they get like they basically they can't see the attack coming, but they also don't gain the benefit of like being sort of blocked from the attack partially. Again, I like that one. Last second sidestep. Play when you are targeted by a ranged strike. The strike automatically misses. Pretty straightforward, but again, useful. Grazing Blow. Play after a foe hit you with a strike. If the foe rolled a critical success, it gets a regular success instead. If the foe rolled a success, it deals minimum damage instead of rolling for damage. So, again, could be very useful. Pierce Resistance. Play after you learn a foe's resistance. Until the end of your turn, your foe loses a resistance of your choice. You must be aware of their resistance, either from seeing it shrug off damage, from an attack due to a successful, or due to a successful recall knowledge check. So again, I kind of like that one as well. So let's just say you see like a creature get hit with like a slashing weapon and it barely affects them. You sort of take note of that and you still manage to use the knowledge that you gain to find a way to penetrate that defense. That's cool. Reverse Strike. Play after you fail an attack. You get a success on the attack roll after, rather than a failure. So the quote is saying you missed and the response is, did I? I haven't been reading the quotes. You can see them in the video if you want, but they are really, really cool. Again, I love the humor in this. Like anything that doesn't take itself too seriously, I really like. So stay in the fight. Play at the start of a turn when you or an ally is affected by an ongoing incapacitation effect. The creature ignores the incapacitation effect until the end of your turn. This turn doesn't count as part of the duration of that effect. So again, sort of risk reward. Drain Power. Play when you activate a magic item that casts a spell. Heighten the spell by 1 level. This can't heighten the item spell above half of your level. Rounded up. So one of the rare situations where you round up in these games. So, for example, if you were 3rd level, you could heighten something from 1st to 2nd level. Even though half of your level typically for most other effects would be like 1.5 and round down. So there's a little bit of a limit on that, but it's still useful. If the item wasn't consumed on use, you can't use it again for 24 hours. So again, risk reward. Press On. Play at the start of your turn. Until the end of your turn, ignore penalties to checks and DCs from conditions. So again, that's something that could be really useful. Endure the Onslaught. Play at any time. Give a creature you can see resistance 5 to all damage until the start of your next turn. If you're 7th level or higher, it gains resistance 10, and if you're 12th level or higher, it gains resistance 15. Strike True. Play when you or an ally are about to make a strike. The target rolls twice and takes the higher result. This strike deals an extra die of damage on a hit if the attacker has fewer than half of their maximum hit points, or 2 extra dice if they have fewer than 1/4 of their maximum hit points. This is a fortune effect. So again, sort of like a desperation sort of type situation. If you're near death, this can be a pretty powerful strike. It did say attacker, not target. Warding sign. Play at any time. Select a creature within sight. That creature is immune to misfortune effects for 1 round. If the creature was already affected by a misfortune effect, it ignores the effect for the duration. Then the effect returns. Healing Prayer. Play during your turn. Select yourself or an ally within reach. The target regains 1d8 plus 8 hit points. If you are 7th level, or the target regains 2d8 plus 16, or if you're 12th level or higher, target regains 3d8 plus 24. So basically, it's like a free heal. The 2-action heal, too. Pretty cool. Surge of Speed. Play at the start of a creature's turn. That creature is quickened on its turn and can use the extra action only to take a single action with the move trait. So something you would likely want to use on an ally. Stoke the Magical Flame. Play when you or an ally is casting a spell. Heighten that spell by 1 level. This can't heighten a spell above the highest level spell that you or the ally can cast. But a free heighten is still useful. And the last one says Protect the Innocent. Play when an incapacitated ally or non-combatant NPC within sight takes damage from an attack or effect. Prevent all the damage. You take half of the damage that would have been taken. So basically you kind of shield them. In addition to the damage that would normally take from the attack or effect, if any, you can only use this to prevent damage to an ally that is unable to act, such as when they are unconscious or paralyzed. So there you go. So those were the cards. Like I said, I wanted to go through each and every one to give you an idea of what's in here. And overall, I really, really like this deck. So this is something that I will absolutely be using at my gaming table going forward. Is something that I would allow the players to use. I like the idea of dealing out like a card to each player for each action point or hero point, sorry, that they would normally have. So one at the start of the session. I believe normally you gain a hero point for every hour of play or something like that. So you just like deal with the cards, but I would let them sort of trade cards amongst them. I think that's the best way of doing it. Like the laying out 3 and just, letting them pick it when, it applies, is okay as well. The one where you just have the top card revealed, that one I'm not so crazy about, but I like the idea of dealing out the cards to the players, but letting them trade if they get something that's, not useful for them. Like, for example, if your fighter gets cards that allow them to cast a spell, then they could give that to one of the spellcasters in exchange for something else. But I really like it. It's something, again, that having this and utilizing it will make sure that I, 100% remember to do the hero points, which is something that I am bad at. I think that, all these cards are really cool, but they're not particularly overpowered. There are some really decent effects, but considering that you have to spend your hero point resource in order to use them, and they are conditional, some of the better ones you kind of have to do like at the start of an action or at the start of a turn, so you have to really plan to use it. Some of them are reactionary, which is also good, but I also like the fact that some of the, sort of the more powerful ones tend to have some sort of drawback. So again, they've got like the whole risk reward system where you get something, a very good benefit, but there is a drawback to it, like the saving throws, being able to automatically pass those, because failing a saving throw at a really bad time can be, basically it can be like a fatal situation. So being able to have that card that you can simply use and guarantee that you're going to succeed on the save, you take the drawback of a condition that gives you like a penalty to some. So I actually really like the fact that, a lot of the more powerful cards are kind of balanced out. The one that allows you to attack everyone within reach of you, that's a great one as well. But it doesn't negate multiple attack penalties. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. So I think they're pretty well balanced for the most part. And it's just, again, they're just really cool options to have. I can see a lot of them being something that would be a very memorable use of the card or the ability. You know, if the character is in a really rough situation, they can use that card and sort of turn things around or get that one last, burst of action out there. I think so. I really, really like the way that these cards are done. I like the design behind them. I think it's just a really great product, and it sort of gives new life to a mechanic that's good. Like the Hero Point system was not anything to sneeze at, giving the ability to re-roll a failed check, or using it to automatically stabilize stuff like that. Like that's really good, but this is just extra flavor that you can use on top of those abilities. So I really, really like this product. I think it's a great addition to the Pathfinder role-playing game, and it's something that I highly recommend. And again, these things are going to be a ton of fun. Like I can really see these being something that the players are going to really enjoy using, and something that can make for some really great stories as to how they managed to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, sort of thing. Like I think there's just a lot of really cool stuff in here. So definitely worth it. I wish that I had this card, this came a day earlier than it did, because it absolutely would have been in my holiday gift guide for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So if you know someone that is into Pathfinder 2e and you're looking for something to give them as a gift, this is a great product to do, and it's a decent price. You get these 52 cards with some really cool abilities, and yeah, I think it's great. Paizo's accessories, honestly, are some of the best that I've seen from really any RPG company. And this one is certainly no exception, so definitely check it out. Anyway, let me know in the comments below if you've picked up the Hero Point deck. How have you used it in your games? What are some of the most memorable instances of a player being able to, play the card and sort of turn the tide of battle, or get to do something really cool before dropping unconscious, or just sort of let me know how it's been used in your games, because I love to hear your guys' stories. You come up with some awesome stuff. Also, I want to again thank Paizo for sending this out to me. This is again fantastic product. It's not to be unexpected at this point. They put out some really great stuff, and this is certainly no exception. So I want to thank them for sending this out, and I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I really do appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. It really does. So yeah, thanks again. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Take care.